Season's very uncertain for the entire league in general, but you're a free agent for the first time. Have you thought about what free agency might look like for you if you'd like to be back?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a restricted free agent, so I think that changes things a little bit, but I've loved my years here in Indiana. So obviously with a lot of uncertainty, you don't know what's to come, but I built a life here, and I love this franchise. I love the people. I love the fans, so we'll see what comes.
Something major just went down inside the Indiana Fever locker room, and it's raising serious questions about the team's internal stability. Lexie Hull, widely seen as Caitlin Clark's closest ally both on and off the court, has officially left the team. Her sudden exit isn't just a typical roster adjustment, it's a red flag that signals deeper issues within the organization. Hull wasn't just a teammate, she played the role of enforcer, protector, and trusted confidant. For her to walk away now? That speaks volumes. It sends a clear and unsettling message: confidence in the franchise is fading fast. Caitlin Clark now finds herself without her most loyal supporter, and that isolation could have ripple effects across the team. So what really led to this abrupt departure? And more importantly, is this the first sign of a bigger breakdown in the Fever's high-stakes rebuild?
Tasha tweeted and was just saying a bunch about pride and how proud she was of this team. Have you kind of had similar emotions the last couple of days, and how do you balance that with a very painful ending to the season?
Yeah, I mean, I think like following the game, it's so disappointing to lose. And most seasons end on a loss, so it's really hard and challenging. But I think when you sit back and think about our year and everything that we were able to accomplish with the circumstances that we were faced with.
To truly understand the weight of Lexie Hull's departure, you have to look beyond the stats. She was never the player lighting up the scoreboard or dominating social media with highlight reels, and that's exactly why her presence mattered so much. Lexie embodied the intangible qualities that rarely show up in a box score, but absolutely define a winning culture. She was the team's inner compass, the steadying force when chaos hit, the voice of quiet resilience in a season plagued by controversy and outside noise. While others chased the spotlight, she did the gritty, painful, and often unnoticed work that championship teams are built on. Whether it was diving headfirst into the stands to save a dying possession, or sprinting full court to contest a shot others had already given up on, Lexie never stopped fighting. She didn't need the headlines, she was the heartbeat. The silent enforcer. The emotional thread holding together a locker room constantly on the verge of unraveling. Taking her out of that equation isn't just a loss on defense, it's a cultural rupture. A void this deep can't be patched with talent alone. It leaves the Fever not just short-handed, but soul-searching.
Uncertain for the entire league in general, but you're a free agent for the first time. Have you thought about what free agency might look like for you if you'd like to be back?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a restricted free agent, so I think that changes things a little bit, but I've loved my years here in Indiana. So obviously with a lot of uncertainty, you don't know what's to come, but I've built a life here, and I love this franchise. I love the people. I love the fans, so we'll see what comes. Elliot?
Lexie Hull's final press conference was a textbook example of how seasoned athletes communicate volumes without ever saying too much. On the surface, her remarks seemed calm and composed, but underneath the polished delivery was a carefully constructed message. To the trained ear, every word was laced with quiet finality. When asked about her future, Hull didn't offer optimism or negotiation talk. Instead, she leaned on vague phrases like "a lot of uncertainty" and "we'll see what comes." That isn't the vocabulary of someone working out contract terms, it's the measured tone of someone who's already packed up emotionally and moved on. Technically, as a restricted free agent, the Fever still held leverage to bring her back. But Hull's demeanor suggested otherwise. She wasn't looking for a path forward, she was offering closure. Her answers didn't just hint at a decision made, they revealed one already mourned. This wasn't a rash exit sparked by one bad week. It was the result of months spent navigating a toxic or untenable environment. Her body may have just left the team, but mentally, emotionally, she'd been gone for a while.
First of all, just how's the back in general?
It's better. I'm excited to sit down and not do anything for a little bit. Yeah.
For you, what was this season like in terms of the different iterations and the different versions of yourself that you had to play, different roles, shooting, defense, diving, all those different things?
Yeah, I mean, the year, I feel like my role changed throughout the course of the year. I think continuing to just show up as my best self, regardless of starting or not, or playing more on the ball defensively or off, whatever the night looked like, I feel like my ability to adapt grew throughout the year. And that's something that I think I can continue to work on my game, is being flexible and being able to really just do whatever the team needs. And this year, I think everyone on our team was challenged in a way.
To truly grasp the significance of Lexie Hull's departure, you have to revisit the chaos that defined the Fever's last season, a season that teetered on the edge of dysfunction from day one. What should have been a triumphant new era quickly unraveled into a high-stakes circus. The arrival of Caitlin Clark ignited a national media frenzy, and instead of leveraging the moment, the franchise seemed paralyzed by it. The pressure was immediate and overwhelming, exposing just how unprepared the organization was for the spotlight. But it wasn't just about headlines or flashing cameras. Behind the scenes, the situation grew worse. A brutal string of injuries ripped through the roster, forcing coaches to abandon consistency and instead gamble with rotating lineups that rarely lasted more than a game. Roles shifted unpredictably. Strategies changed overnight. For the players, the message was clear: nothing was certain, and no one was safe. In the midst of that instability, Lexie Hull stood alone as the team's constant. Whether starting or coming off the bench, whether asked to defend guards or stretch forwards, she never hesitated. She took on impossible matchups, sacrificed comfort, and played through the chaos with a level of composure that few could match. But that quiet professionalism came at a cost. Beneath her calm surface was a player absorbing more than her fair share, emotionally and physically. In a room spinning out of control, Lexie became the last thread of order. And now, even that thread is gone.
For just every single thing we faced, I think, is something that we won't forget. Like the injuries, the playing through playing with groups that we haven't even practiced with for the first time in games. Like we were faced with so much uncertainty. So I think there isn't like one pinpoint game where I'm like, I'll remember that game. It's almost just...
What stood out most in Lexie Hull's final press appearance wasn't what she said, but what she pointedly didn't. She took deliberate time to express love for the city of Indianapolis, admiration for its fans, and appreciation for the community she called home. But when it came to the franchise itself, the management, the front office, the vision, she offered nothing. Not a single word. This wasn't an oversight. It was a calculated silence. In professional sports, when an athlete praises the city but avoids mentioning the organization, it's a clear signal. The issue lies not with the uniform, but with the people running the show. Hull's omission was as loud as any accusation, a quiet but piercing indictment of a franchise she clearly no longer trusted. And when she addressed her constantly shifting role within the team, her calm tone masked a deeper frustration. Her words about needing to stay flexible and adapt to the plan were wrapped in professionalism, but beneath them was a clear critique of the coaching staff's lack of cohesion. One night she was the defensive anchor, assigned to contain an opponent's top scorer. The next, she was asked to play the perimeter as a shooter, two completely different roles, with no consistency and no clarity. That kind of volatility is not strategy. It's survival mode. And for a player like Lexie, someone asked to patch every crack in a fractured team, it was unsustainable. She wasn't just being stretched thin, she was being misused. Her steady presence was masking deeper systemic flaws. And when that burden became too heavy, she walked. But Hull's exit isn't just about Indiana. It points to something larger, a rising anxiety across the entire WNBA. She referenced the uncertainty many players are feeling, alluding to the looming 2026 collective bargaining storm. Talks around a new agreement have reportedly stalled, and a potential lockout hangs over the league like a storm cloud. For veterans and rising stars alike, that uncertainty is destabilizing. Hull's decision to leave a high-profile team, walk away from a superstar teammate, and pivot toward the unrivaled league wasn't made lightly. It was a business move. A calculated shift toward a platform that offers more control, more money in a shorter season, and, most importantly, more respect. Founded by players for players, Unrivaled isn't just a side project. It's a statement. By aligning herself with this new model, Hull is making it clear, she no longer believes in the system the WNBA currently offers. And she's not alone. Other players are watching, quietly weighing similar choices. Unrivaled represents autonomy, partnership, and a future where athletes don't just participate, they lead. But beneath all the business and structural analysis lies the human heartbreak. Hull and Caitlin Clark shared a real bond. That much was evident when Hull spoke about Clark's injury struggles. Her voice softened. Her empathy was unfiltered and genuine. She admired Clark's resilience, her competitiveness, but made no promises to stay beside her. That was the most painful moment of all, a deeply respectful farewell wrapped in professional distance. So why would a player known for her grit, her fight, and her refusal to quit walk away from this challenge? The answer is harsh, but clear. Elite competitors don't run from a fair fight, they walk away from a rigged one. Hull didn't quit because the rebuild was tough. She left because she came to believe that under this leadership, winning wasn't just difficult, it was impossible. This was not surrender. It was survival. She evaluated the chaos, the tactical confusion, the lack of vision from the top, and concluded the battle wasn't worth bleeding for. And in doing so, she reframes herself not as a quitter, but as a realist, someone smart enough to exit before she broke completely. And there's another layer, one that speaks to the crushing weight of orbiting a rising icon. Caitlin Clark is not the problem. But the ecosystem around her is. Every game, every story, every headline focused on her. Meanwhile, the contributions of players like Lexie Hull were pushed to the margins. Her relentless effort was overlooked. Her sacrifice, invisible. Being a teammate in that environment, where you're expected to pour your heart out night after night while remaining in someone else's shadow, is mentally exhausting. Eventually, even the most loyal professional starts to look for a place where they're seen, heard, and valued on their own terms. When Hull's departure became public, the fan base didn't just react with disappointment, they reacted with dread. They saw this for what it was, not just the loss of a role player, but the loss of a cultural cornerstone. They knew what Lexie represented to Caitlin: stability, loyalty, protection. And they now fear that, without her, the foundation is beginning to crack. Caitlin Clark now enters the most critical season of her career, but she does so more alone than ever. The expectations are immense. She must be a scoring leader, a playmaker, a public ambassador, and the face of a league, all before turning 24. And now, she must do it without the one teammate who always had her back, no questions asked. This is a heavy, isolating burden. But within that burden lies an extraordinary opportunity. This could be the defining test of Clark's career, her crucible moment. She can no longer rely on Lexie Hull to rally the troops or serve as a buffer. She must step into leadership completely. We've all seen her fire. Her competitive rage. Now, that energy must evolve into maturity, communication, and the kind of leadership that earns the deep trust of a fractured locker room. She doesn't just need to lead, she needs to unify. And yet, even if she succeeds on the court, a new battle is brewing off it. As soon as Hull signs with another team, the media noise will begin. Critics will pounce. They'll call Clark difficult. They'll say she can't hold a locker room together. The narratives will be cruel, and often false, but they will be loud. To endure that storm, she'll need to build walls of mental steel, to lead by performance, not by public relations. To let her play silence the noise. That's how she'll prove she's not just a generational scorer, but a true franchise cornerstone. And hovering above all of this is the Indiana Fever front office, now under the harshest of spotlights. They've just lost a respected veteran, failed to protect their star's inner circle, and risk alienating both current players and future free agents. If they don't act, and quickly, to stabilize this roster with veteran leadership and a coherent plan, they won't just be failing Caitlin Clark. They'll be sabotaging the very rebuild they promised would change everything. And history will remember them not as the architects of a dynasty, but as the ones who let it all fall apart. Lexie Hull's departure is more than a transaction. It's a cultural rupture. A devastating blow to Clark, a gut punch to fans, and a public unraveling of a franchise on the brink. But sometimes, greatness isn't born from triumph, it's forged in collapse. And so, the question now becomes, is this the collapse that dooms the Indiana Fever? Or is it the fire that finally forges Caitlin Clark into the leader, and the legend, she was always meant to become?